Hello, my name is Laura, and in this video I'm going to explain how to solve an example of the financial sector using the machine learning software Neural Designer. The topic of this example is customer targeting. We have an insurance company that has provided health insurance to its customers, and now they want to build a model in order to predict whether the customers from past years will also be interested in a vehicle insurance provided by them. At the end of this video, we will see that using machine learning, the company can double its sales for the vehicle insurance. The first step is to download the data file from the link below. We open it and we see that it contains information about 381,109 customers. The data file also contains 9 columns: the ID of the customer, their gender, their age, if they have already a vehicle insurance, the age of the vehicle, if they got the vehicle damaged in the past, the amount that the customer needs to pay as premium in the year, the number of days that the customer has been associated with the company, and finally the target variable. In this case, it is response, which tells us whether or not the customer is interested in the vehicle insurance. Then we open Neural Designer and we can see that in the main tab there are two kinds of projects we can create. In this case, we want to classify the customers as interested or not interested, so we need a classification project. Once we have created the project, the first thing we have to do is to import the dataset we have just downloaded. Once it is imported, we can see the data preview where we can check the number of columns and the total number of customers. In this table, we can check the different variables or features and select the target variable, that in this case, as we have said before, it is response. In order to get some information from the data, we will start performing some analysis. First, we want to know how the different variables are distributed, and in order to do that, we can calculate the column distributions. We have different distribution charts for all the variables. At the end, we have the pie chart for our target variable, and we can observe that only around 12% of the customers are interested in the vehicle insurance. The aim of this video is to create a model to target this 12%. We can also check which of the variables have the greatest impact on the target variable. The way to do this is to calculate the input-target correlations. Here we can see that the variable that has the highest correlation is vehicle damage. This means that if a customer got their vehicle damage in the past, they are more likely to be interested in the vehicle insurance. On the other hand, variables such as the age, the gender, the amount they pay as premium customers, or the date they have been associated with the company don't seem to have a relationship with the target variable. Now we will start building our model to predict which are the target customers. We click in Neural Network, and as first guess, we can leave the settings as they are by default, but it's also possible to add or remove both perceptron layers and neurons. Now we can create and see the neural network. This diagram means that when we introduce 7 inputs or variables in the neural network, it gives us back 1 output. The next step is to search for the parameters for the neural network that fit it to the dataset. This process is called training. We train the neural network, and in this chart we can see how the error decreases. The most important result in the training is the final selection error, which gives the general capabilities of the neural network. In order to see how well the neural network can predict the potential customers, we will perform the testing analysis. To validate a classification technique, we need to compare the values provided by this method and the observed ones. The standard testing method for binary classification projects is the ROC curve. We obtain a parameter called area under the curve. A perfect model would have an area under the curve of 1, and in this case the value is 0.84, which is also quite good as it is close to 1. Another testing method is the confusion matrix. In this matrix, we can observe in the diagonal which customers have been correctly classified. Around 9,000 are interested in the vehicle insurance and were also classified as interested, and around 40,000 are not interested and were classified as not interested. On the other hand, we can see on the sides the number of customers that have not been classified correctly. 201 customers are interested but were classified as not interested, and around 30,000 are not interested but were classified as interested. We can also calculate the rates. At the beginning, without the model, the company could contact all the customers, the ones that are interested and the ones that are not, and the rate of buying the insurance would be 12%. However, using the model, which means contacting only the customers classified as interested, this rate could be 25%. So, using the model, the company can double its sales. With Neural Designer, it's also possible to simulate a campaign for the company. This is made with a profit chart. Let's suppose that the cost of contacting a client is $10 and that for each customer that buys the insurance, the company earns $50. We start contacting the customers with the highest probability of buying the insurance. If we contact around 35%, the company would have the maximum profit. However, if they contact more customers, the profit would be lower. And if we contact more than 60%, the company would start making losses. The model helps us to know which are these customers with the highest probability of buying the insurance. Finally, in the model deployment section, we can calculate outputs. We can introduce the variables of a new customer and calculate the probability that this customer has of buying the insurance. As an example, we introduce our variables and we observe that this customer has a probability of buying of 79%. Moreover, it's also possible to get the mathematical expression, which can be also exported to different programming languages such as Python or C. Thanks for watching. Hopefully, this tutorial helped you out to learn how to use Neural Designer profitably for your company.